It's the Big Rich Live on the Mic radio show on YouTube. Tune in every Saturday and Wednesday for hot news and opinions, you dig? Like and subscribe and follow us on Twitter at BR Live on the Mic and on Facebook and Instagram at Big Rich Live on the Mic. Join the conversation and catch that fire.
What's good, people? Sorry I've been gone for about a week. Had a lot of things going on. No real excuse. I just had a lot of stuff going on and stuff. So, I've gotten all of your emails and tweets and direct messages and stuff across our media platforms, and I hear you. Sometimes when you're asked a certain question about a subject that really hits you close to home and your emotions are running so high, you need to take a step back and digest, because words matter. Words truly matter. And we're going to talk about, I'm not really going to give my opinion on the shootings, any one of them right now. I'm still not ready to sort of give my personal opinion on that. So I'm going to belay that for a little bit. Please forgive me. I've gotten back with a lot of you that has sent me repeated messages basically asking me, so what's up? What you think? What's going on? I definitely hear you. I just need to digest what's going on and how I feel and how, I will tackle the situation as far as my thoughts and opinions and stuff like that. I have a big responsibility to not only give my opinion and be truthful about it, but also realize that opinions, or at least this opinion, need to not be totally based on emotion and maybe past experiences. So, like I said, forgive me. I will give my opinion on this situation, and where do we go from here on a later show. I promise. But I've been called to task to discuss the responsibility of what I said probably a minute and a half ago about words matter. Everybody has an opinion, okay? Everybody's born with one head, hopefully, 2 legs, hopefully, 5 fingers and toes, hopefully. But the norm is everybody's born with that. Therefore, everybody has an opinion. And you are 100% within your right to share and have your opinion. But you also need to realize that there are consequences and repercussions to what you say and what you do. And words do matter. When you generalize a group, I don't care what group it is, that is wrong, because you don't know everybody in that particular group. So I'm called to basically talk about the responsibility of people, particularly radio personalities, TV interviewers, political players, pundits, and people of that ilk. Your opinions carry more weight than many opinions. You know, like there was a when we was in school, when I was in undergrad, and there was a particular scenario we had to play, and the question was asked: if you were told by two people at different times that you no longer needed to stop at red lights, you could just fly right through red lights. One person told you that was a lawyer, and the other one told you was a cop. Who would you believe? Overwhelming majority of people said that they would believe the cop. But then you ask them, well, why? I said, because the cop is the one that's giving me the ticket. So I'm gonna believe that person. Yeah, the lawyer can try to get me out the ticket, but the lawyer is not the person that's out there giving me the ticket. So if the police officer tells me that I no longer have to stop for red lights, I'm gonna believe that more so than I would believe anybody else. That analogy goes to people who are charged with delivering the news. Delivering the news and commenting on situations. And I've heard some of the most ignorant, hateful, and just basically lies all over the airwaves these last couple of weeks. The generalization of people is disgusting. It is disgusting. We have fallen into a bottomless pit that if we don't get our footing and start grabbing not only for the wall to stop our free fall, and then reach back and grab somebody that might not could have gotten to the wall, and then they grab somebody, and they grab somebody, and they grab somebody, so that we have a long human chain, we are going to fall into oblivion. And this is not hyperbole, and this is definitely not overstating it. You know, I sat in my living room and listened to people on the news, people that should know better. People that have been elected officials and are elected officials, they should know better. They should know better, but because they are either current or former elected officials, they feel they can say whatever they want and their listeners will believe them because they said it. I'm talking about the Lieutenant Governor of Louisiana that got on Fox News and basically said that the Black Lives Matter group was a terrorist group. That said that the former Black Lives Matter people were terrorists, and that he blamed them for Michael Johnson's shooting and killing those police officers. Where did he get that from? Name one thing that Black Lives Matter, the group, has tore up. Name and show me one thing where they have threatened anybody and gone through it. Yes, there were people who was chanting back in Ferguson during the march, pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. Yes, there were people who said that, but if you think about it, in the 60s with Woodstock, they were saying a whole lot of stuff against cops and against the military, against the government, and they weren't branded terrorists. And those were predominantly white people. So yeah, you have some ignorant people that just fed up, or like Fannie Lou Hamer said, I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. Yes, you have people who say those type of things, and every time people say those type of things, you let them know this is not the way we need to roll. But to say that because you angry, to say that because you know that these people on Fox News will not check you, will not fact check you, it's ridiculous. He pretty much doubled down on it when he was doing the town hall with President Obama. Just ignorance. What stats are you coming from? The Ku Klux Klan has terrorized and murdered thousands upon thousands of black and brown people. They continue to terrorize and kill hundreds of people that we don't ever even know about. But do you know they're still not branded a terrorist organization? But ISIL is. Al Qaeda is. Now these are places that are terrorism organizations that do majority of their work. Yes, you have 9/11, okay? But the majority of their work they do on the outside of these borders, and they are considered a terrorist organization. But you have the Ku Klux Klan and the neo-Nazis that do their domestic terrorism here between our borders, and they are not an official terrorist group. Now, yes, the ACLU and a couple of non-governmental entities have branded them terrorist groups, but I was shocked when I found out that. So now you put Black Lives Matter as a terrorist group because you don't like that they are sick and tired of being sick and tired? Really? And then you say that with such conviction and such anger and such vigor in your voice, like you were saying that from personal authority, like you have some information that nobody else has. So you go on Fox News where again you know you won't be checked, and then you spill that hateful, ignorant rhetoric, and there's nobody there to check you. So even if somebody checks you, because they have been checking him on MSNBC, on CNN, on a lot of other social media platforms, VH1, Roland Martin and all of them. But the people who are listening to this lieutenant governor don't listen to or watch any of those channels. So they have no filter. They have no, hey man, that's not true. And this is why it's not true. And if you say it's true, show me. And not stats that you brought up, not stats that you compiled, not stats that the police organization that is in the crossfires has brought up. Bring up some national statistics. Bring up some federal statistics that support your point. The fact of the matter is, nobody in Black Lives Matter has ever been arrested. Now, Black Lives Matter, the official group, not people who are on the outskirts, not people who claim that they are down with the Black Lives Matter. No. I'm talking about Black Lives Matter activists. Not one has ever been indicted or arrested for any type of terroristic or any type of violence or any felony, period. But you get on the news and you say that. And you are the lieutenant governor of a state. Instead of tempering down I understand you're upset. All of us is upset. I'm a police officer and I'm upset. But you temper your tone and your rhetoric because it is not productive. I'm not even saying that it's not true. I didn't even get to that point. It is not productive. And it is not something that an elected official that is holding current office right now should be saying. I'm sorry. The truth is the truth. I just could not believe that. Then the next day, Rudy Giuliani, former mayor and presidential candidate. Everybody who knows this and everybody who knows me know I was born and raised in New York City. I was down with Ed Koch. Ed Koch, pretty much in my life, I spent my first 17 and a half, almost 18 years in New York. From birth to when I graduated high school, went away to the military and college. I've had two mayors in 18 years. Ed Koch, God rest his soul, and David Dinkins, who was a clown. But anyway, that's something totally different. I didn't live in New York. I really never even visited New York when Rudy Giuliani was the mayor. Why? Because I was overseas most of the time. And then when I came back, I had a family. When I came back to the world, I had a family. So we relocated down here to Orlando, and I've been in Orlando ever since. So I don't know firsthand of the terror that this man and NYPD has put on black and brown and low income people. So I was shocked and dismayed when I heard him say, just blatantly, black people need to fear other black people. And if I was a black father, I would tell my son to be scared of the black person that is his neighbor. Now that's insulting as hell. That's just like me saying if I was a white man, I need to tell my white children this, that, and the third. You would be offended as hell. If I say if I was a Hispanic man, I would say, I don't know, that I would teach my kids to speak English or some silliness like that. You'll be mad as hell. Rightfully so. But this man can get up on Fox News and say that nonsense and not be checked. And not have to deal with any consequences or repercussions at all. Why? Because the owner and his kids feel the same way. Why? Because the hosts of the shows, of the Sean Hannity show, the Bill O'Reilly show, the Megyn Kelly show, they all believe that. They all believe that. They all, even though facts slap them in the face, they actually believe that. So see, a lot of people say, well, Rich, why are you getting him mad? He wasn't talking about you. You were a law-abiding citizen, business owner, college graduate, never been in any trouble with the law. And then I say, no. He didn't say criminal black people. He said black people. Blacks. That's what he said. So that means he's talking about me. So in its face, he's wrong. Because I've never been arrested. Never been in trouble with the law. No, I said, that's a lie. Remember I said before. I think I told this story when I was like 14. I was in love, that little puppy love with this chick named Denise, right? And I'm just putting my whole business out the street, but we'll lighten the mood up a little bit. Anyway, she wasn't even my girl, I was just sweating her, So we in the mall, me, my sister, my cousin, two of my cousins, and my mother, right? We in the Paramus Mall in Jersey. So I see this pendant. Now, I think I said her name was Denise. I think I said it, but if not, Denise. So I see this pendant, cheap pendant, but it was a D, for Denise. So I went and I scooped it. I put it in my pocket, whatever. So when the loss eventually came up, and he was like, well, let me get that out of your pocket. I had to give it to him. Why'd you steal it? I stole it from my mama. So he said, where your mama at? I stupidly point out to my mama. He walks up to my mama and asks her name. Well, my mama's name was Gloria, God rest her soul. So he knew I was lying. Anyway, long story short, I didn't get arrested. They didn't call the police. What he told my mama was, I think it was like 14, like I said. He told my mama and said, hey, I won't call the cops if you take him home and beat the brakes off him. My mama told him, whether you call the cops or not, I'm taking him home and beating the brakes off him. And when I got home, I got the brakes beat off me. Period. So that's a little anecdote. So other than that, never been in trouble with the law. College graduate. Have a daughter who's a college graduate. Own my own business, about to retire. All of this, whoop-de-woo, whatever. I don't have a criminal background. I don't have a tendency to be a criminal. So basically, you just painted a whole broad brush of people with ignorance. And for people who want to believe that, or people who believe that, you have reinforced a lie. People ask me all the time, Rich, do you think that racism will ever die? And I tell them with a straight face, no. And they look at me like, well, how can you be so pessimistic? I say the reason racism won't die is because you have racists who have kids who then teach them kids to be racist. So it is racism and racist behavior is passed down. It's like land. You know what I'm saying? It's like wealth. I pass you down this wealth. This is my farm. I pass you down this farm. This is my business. I pass you down this business. This is the way I feel about black and brown people and poor people, and I'm passing that down to you. The good thing is, if you got 5 kids that are indoctrinated to this, hopefully 1, maybe 2 of them will get away from that to understand that what they were told, what they were taught for the rest of for most of their lives is a lie. It's not true. And that's when we get people who then basically it's like the veil is pulled from over their eyes and they can actually see that what they was taught by grandma, by grandpa, by grandpa, by mommy, by daddy is a lie. But it's dangerous. That's the thing is, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. It is dangerous. It's irresponsible. And my thing is this. If you have facts, and I'm talking about legitimate facts, I'm going to get on to legitimate facts later on in the show. But if you are based on, if your opinions are based on facts, legitimate facts that is vetted, okay, usually from an outside agency that has nothing to do with you or your organization, I'm willing to listen. But if you are just coming up off the top of your head with stuff that you believe, I got to throw the bullshit flag. That's exactly what that is. That's bullshit. And it's dangerous because you're in a position to affect people's thoughts. How do you sit up there and say if you was a black man? Really? I mean, just insulting. Just insulting. And see, I never knew that he was like this. I just hear recently, I couldn't say recently, probably because if I'm not mistaken, he tried to run for the Republican nomination last election. And I know he had ran against Hillary Clinton for the senator seat. Actually, the junior senator seat in New York, way back when. And she was beating the brakes off of him, after a while. I mean, he started out, really strong, and then he basically opened his mouth and he started tanking. Then all of a sudden he would withdraw, talking about medical issues. No, wasn't no medical issues. Wasn't no medical issues. She was beating the brakes off you, and you didn't want to have to deal with that. So you make up some bullshit and you get out of the race. Then you become a pundit on Fox News where you can spew your ignorance and bigotry, and they clap. They clap. If it sounds like I'm angry, I am. I'm very irritated. Very irritated because people say, or I've heard at least one person say it, that we can disagree without being disagreeable. Opinions can be different, experiences can be different, the facts can't be different. Just earlier this week, a retired NYPD detective, Hooks, I want to say Horck, he came on CNN and had these bogus stats that was compiled by the NYPD saying that 70, I think it was, and again, I don't have the numbers in my face right now, so if you know if I'm wrong, put it down in the comment section, check me if I'm wrong. but it was something to the effect that 70% of all murders in New York City was done by blacks. 71% of all crime was done by blacks. I'm like, really? I mean, you just look at the numbers. There's 8 million people in New York City. Most of 71%. So, I mean, there is every race, color, creed, sexual orientation. New York City is the official melting pot of this country. Period. Not LA, not Miami, not Atlanta, not Chicago, not Boston. New York City, there is no nationality, there is no color, creed, religion that don't have a pocket in there. I mean, you even think about, I call them the pilgrims, but I'll find out I'll try to remember what the name of them are. But even some of them live in New York City. Yeah, granted, they have turned away from that way of life, but they've come to the city. So how do you sit up there and say with a straight face? First of all, let's get back to when we talk about bogus stats. NYPD, at least in my lifetime, was one of the worst police organizations in the country. The worst. I'm not telling you something that I heard. I'm telling you something that I know. I have not friends. I have family that work for the NYPD. I have family that work for corrections. Just like I do. Well, not corrections, but you know what I mean. And to hear the stories that they say, and then now that you have more and more people, officers, former and present, coming out, they the biggest gang. 50, because at one time it was 50,000 officers. Because back then you had NYPD, you had New York Transit, you had the Harbor Patrol, and then you had the Housing Police. Those were all different entities. So when they merged, they dropped down, but together there was like 50,000 strong. So excuse me if I don't believe stats that you are carrying, that I don't know if they're legitimate or not, but you say they from the NYPD. Excuse me if I don't believe a word of that. And this is not a conspiracy theorist. This is fact. The amount of money that the city of Orlando, I'm sorry, New York City had to pay out in damages as far as discrimination and lawsuits for police brutality and false arrests and all of that type of stuff right there is astronomical. That type of money, as well as like the money, I think it was like $11 million in Chicago. It would bankrupt most smaller cities. Bankrupt. So I'm sorry, don't bring me that crap. Oh well, these are compiled by NYPD. Really? But again, you say that. This time there was somebody to try to check him, but Markham Hill didn't have enough time. He wasn't ever given the time to check him. But see, let me tell you something. This is what people do. This is what people who know that they full of shit do. They just outshout you. They won't give you a chance. Like, you sat down patiently. Now, if you look at this, if you look at this segment, it was the NYPD detective, the former NYPD detective. It was Markham Hill, and then it was a police chief. I can't remember from what organization, what city. Okay, 2 of them were black. The detective was white. The detective sat there and got all of his stuff out. They sat down there, even when you could see that they was chomping at the bits to get back at him for this lie that he was telling. They sat down there quiet and let him get. Now, as soon as he's finished, Mark trying to get into him. He trying to dig into him. So what he does is he don't allow Mark to get his point across, because he knows he's full of shit. He knows that his stats are bogus. There is no scientific data. There's no scientific backing to his claims. I mean, anybody can come. I can. Here's a picture right here. Here's a page right here. I can write and type whatever the heck I say and say this is from the FBI. What the hell does that mean? Just because I say it, it's supposed to be true. But he shouts Mark down. Don't allow him to put his point across. Then the segment ends. So all the people heard was this nonsense, and then the rest was argument. So I sort of blame that on Cuomo, because he should have told the detective to be quiet and let Mark rebut or come back at what he said. You can't throw out some type of arbitrary crap that is demonizing an entire race just because you say something. That's just like me saying all white people are part of the Ku Klux Klan. That's a lie. That's not true. It's just not true. You know, well, Dylan Roof, he came in there and he had Nazi and not Nazi. He had Confederate flag memorabilia. He didn't like, black people, this, that, and the third. Boom. So I say everybody look like him is a racist, is a bigot. It's not true. There's no way that I can prove that. It is no way that I can prove that. Remember, when you talk about statistics, it's plus or minus. And it's very arbitrary. See, a lot of people feel like they'll throw up statistics on. They say, well, Donald Trump is beating Hillary Clinton by this much, or Hillary Clinton is beating Donald Trump by this much. Well, the poll that they take is like minuscule. It's like they call maybe 300, 400, 500, 600 people maybe out of a city of 1 million. And then what they just do is they just make that 500 or 600, and then they multiply that times the amount of people that are in that city or in that region or in that state, and then they project the numbers that way. We need to stop falling for the okie doke. There's a new hashtag going around, say stay woke. Oh, I'm woke. And you need to be also. Understand what's going on, and understand that there are people in this country who want things to not only stay the way they are, but if they can get it, to go back to where it was. And I'm here to tell you that's not going to happen. Just not. We have to be in a position that you can take care of yourself. And what that means is everybody got to do their part. Everybody got to stay woke. Everybody got to do their part. And I'm just not talking about black people. I'm talking about white people. I'm talking about red people. I'm talking about Latin people. Everybody need to do their part. I've said this before on 2 or 3 shows. Everybody need to be pulling the log in the same direction. And the same direction should be equality for all and the same opportunities for all. You notice I did not say that everybody deserves the same thing. I've said this before. If you are an artist and you are very good, and the going rate for artists is, let's just say, $300,000 a year, then that's what you deserve. If I can't draw, I shouldn't get the $300,000. The problem is when somebody can draw or have the potential to draw, and they are not allowed to draw, or they are not allowed to learn because of the color of their skin, their religious background, their sexual orientation, this, that, and third. That's where the problem is. But see, then when you have people like in Governor Christie, oh, I'd be glad when he ain't the governor anymore. He throws out, oh, I see it, big mouth. You said everybody should be the same. Everybody should get the same. No, nobody said that. At least nobody with a brain in their head. Nobody said, oh, and anybody has said, black, white, brown, indifferent. Anybody has said is that everybody deserves the same opportunity And what you do with that opportunity, that's on you. How many people can play sports? How many people can design games in their sleep? I mean, do code like you drink water. You know, they can come up with things just off the top of their head. They got sticky notes all over the place, or paper and napkins all over the place because they're that brilliant. But yet still they've destroyed their lives, their gifts, stuff like that. Things happen. You know, and although you have empathy for them, but you don't have any sympathy for them because you're like, look, you know, you had a cannon arm, or you had a brilliant brain, or you had, you know, this, that, and the third that nobody else had, or very few people had, and you took it for granted. So you have empathy for them people, but you shouldn't sympathize with them. They did it on their own. Now, if the situation, which unfortunately is the norm, is that they are deterred or stopped from doing that, then there's a problem. There's a problem. So we have to hold people accountable. How many times have I told you, people who are listening to the sound of my voice, if I am wrong, check me. Do not believe everything that I say because I say it. I'm no better than anybody else. I know there was a lot of luck in my life, not because of the color of my skin. It's a dog-eat world. It's hard out there in them streets. I had a mother who kept her foot where it belonged in the back of my behind to make sure that I was motivated to do something with my life, to leave New York and achieve. The only thing that I regret that my mom could not see is her eldest granddaughter, graduate from college. Her eldest son received his MBA, and her son about to retire at an early age. But I do believe in God. I believe in the afterlife, so I feel that she's up there smiling, nodding her head. Okay, that fooling did it. You follow what I'm saying? So that's off on a little tangent, but we have to get back to the fact that, you know, words matter, and things that you say matter. And if you're going to say something, and the thing is this here, if you're going on a rant because you upset, say that first. Hey, I know there's going to be some people that are pissed off, but I got to say this. Woo, 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 woo. You still won't catch backlash, but at least the same people are realizing, okay, that fool is mad, this is his opinion, we got to take that with a grain of salt. But when you sit up there in a position where you a sitting lieutenant governor, you are a elected official, and you can come and you can say something that you know is a bold-faced lie, and even if you don't think so, because sometimes I truly believe that these people believe this nonsense, but they believe this nonsense because they're being taught that. Remember what I told you. Remember what I said a couple of shows ago. Maybe it was a couple of weeks ago. I said the three entities that I, in my humble opinion, believe that are the blame for where we are right now is the government, local, state, and federal, the educational system, and the media. You look at just slanted stuff. Micah Johnson, he goes to the deep end, kill up a bunch of cops. My brother officers. Okay? Shoots 12 total, 5 dead. All over the media, all in his background, all on his Facebook, all on his manifesto, rightfully so. I have no problem with that. I really do. I know some of my colleagues, and when I say colleagues, I'm talking about my colleagues on the radio side, feel differently, and I respect their opinion. I just don't. I feel that it was a horrible thing for what he did, and he threw the whole discussion sideways. We got work to do to try to get back to where we were, just at what I feel was the precipice of really talking about true reform, true dialogue between the police and the community that they serve. But it was a day, 2 days after, a guy, a prisoner in Michigan, white guy, I don't know what happened that he was unhandcuffed, but he gets unhandcuffed. He snatches one of the bailiff's guns. He goes on a shooting spree. He shoots and kills the 2 bailiffs. He shoots one deputy, who I am so glad is alive and well. He kills both of he kills both of the bailiffs. God rest their soul. And is taken out by the responding agencies. They reported on that sporadically the day it happened. You have not heard about it again. If police lives matter, which we do, I'm one of them. Blue lives matter. All of us should matter. So that means the same time that you were spending on the shooters in Dallas is the same you should have spent on the shooting in Michigan. Was the circumstances as far as the shooting different? Yes. But was the final verdict that police have lost their lives to gun violence, even though it was their gun? Is that the same? Hell yeah, it is. So you just look at it. It takes away the whole narrative if they cover this story. It takes away the whole narrative of quote unquote black people going crazy. It takes the whole narrative of what they want to put through. And we as people, I'm not talking about black people. When I say people, I mean all people. We need to start holding them accountable and stop falling for the okie doke. Period. Stop being led around like sheep. Start listening to other people's point of view. And if you disagree, disagree. If you disagree with a position that somebody has, it's nothing wrong with that. The fact of the matter is you sat up and spoke to them and heard the other side and maybe try to get to some type of common ground is what matters, is what counts. We need to stop doing that. We really need to stop doing that. I remember thinking, I was like, I don't want to get shot because of something that somebody else did that was bullshit. And maybe that might sound selfish, but that's how I feel. I have, in 23 years, I have been in many foot pursuits. Well, towards the early, because I'm going to fat and old right now. But I've been in many foot pursuits. Maybe a couple of vehicle pursuits, not too many. I've drawn my gun. I've had situations where people have tried to draw their gun on me. I found guns on people, knives, all sorts of stuff. Threats, all of that type of stuff. And I know how to handle things because I'm not scared of the person. I have fear of the unknown. So what that does to me is, and what it should do to all cops, is that fear keeps you alert. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in a situation, this is whether you're a cop or not, but have you ever been in a situation where you're so scared, not to the point where you're shaking and stuff, but it's sort of like the hair is stuck, it's sticking out the back of your neck, and everything seems to be brighter, bigger, sounds louder and more clearer. That's that fear kicking in. You are now on a 360-degree swivel. That is something that we are born with. We are born with natural defenses. The bottom line is, yes, we're human beings, but we're animals. We're animals. We're part of the animal kingdom. We just happen to be the big dog of the animal kingdom. We are the quote unquote kings of the jungle, if that's what you want to say. But we're born with that. We just don't use it. We don't need it. You think because we're supposed to be quote unquote civilized. So you take that and you are scared or in fear of the unknown, not of the person. I have gone to people's houses where I know somebody in there has a felony warrant for some type of violence. You know, we get the warrant or we get the call over the radio, and they say that this person has a history of running from the police or has a history of fighting the police. Use caution. Okay. I'm going to talk first. That's what God gave me. God gave me a mouthpiece. And I don't care who it is. I don't get ignorant with somebody until somebody get ignorant with me. I don't care what it is. I talk differently with different people. I use the yes or no circle. But when I'm in my hood, we really don't talk that way. You know, what's up, bro? What's happening? You know, let me holler at you for a minute. That's how we talk. That's how I was raised to talk to my people. So that's how I talk. Hey, man, look. Hey, look. Got a warrant. Got to take you to jail and stuff. Hey, look. You know, we're going to get you down there, get you quick. You know, you need anything. You want me to bring something? You know, you want me to bring something? You want your mama to bring, you know, something. You know, you need some shoes, stuff like this. Then that third, you want your phone. You want your girlfriend to have your phone. You are talking to the person. Why? Because I don't take it personal. The person didn't do anything to me. Even if the person cussed me out, hey man, hey, look, I understand. But the fact of the matter, you still got to go to jail. You know, I'm sorry. My hands are tied. And when you can help them, like for certain misdemeanors, you know, it is up to the officer's discretion. You know, person, you listen to the whole story and you feel the person is not, you know, is not a criminal or something like that. Why would you then destroy this person's future when you can be like, hey man, get the hell on out of here? Like, okay. And I know I'm off on a tangent a little bit, but we're about to end this show, so I pretty much said what I had to say about that other book. But what I'm going to say is this: when you're talking about things, one of my friends' daughters, she just told me that the daughter was stopped and she had a grinder. Those who don't know that, it is a grinder for marijuana. You know, you put the bud in there and then you use the grinder. It grinds it up into it breaks the leaves up, and then you know you roll it up and you smoke it. Okay. So the officer, you know, pulled her over or whatever. I didn't really get all the particulars. Plus, I ain't really, you know, putting the whole thing out. But he says to her, well, I could take you to jail. Correct. He's correct. But I'm not going to take you to jail. I'm just going to give you this and you pay a fine. Now, you might think, if you don't know any better, that the cop, police officer, state trooper, whatever you want to call us, did her a favor. Well, let me tell you why he didn't do her a favor. Doing her a favor would have been taking the grinder, putting that in evidence, giving her a lecture, and making her mom come pick her up because she was like 17, 18. That's doing her a favor. That's cutting her a break. By doing what they call an NTA, which is known to appear, it is in lieu of an arrest. The only thing that doesn't happen is that you don't actually go to jail. It is still a charge. It's still going on your record. You still have to pay a fine. You still have to deal with the court system. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm getting at? So you have now not destroyed, but you have now put and granted, a lot of people will say, well, the kid did it for having the illegal weed. But the first word you just used was kid. We all make mistakes. I am an exception in my family. I am the only one that I know of that has never smoked weed, never did crack, never snorted cocaine, nothing. I think my uncle didn't either because he was a lieutenant for the Transit Authority in New York City. But I'm talking about like blood relatives, you know. So I am an outlier. I am the exception to the rule. You know, I found out later on as I was going through this world, most people smoke weed. You know, more people smoke weed than you actually think of. But anyway, I digress. The fact of the matter is, now that appears on her record when she's trying to get a job or do something else. So did he help her out? The answer is no. Helping you out is, like I said, take the grinder, put in the evidence to be destroyed, call her parents and make her parents come and get her. Okay? Then you could talk to the parents and say, look, woo, this is what I could do, but I'm not. Why am I saying this? Because I used to do it all the time. All the time. All the time. All the time. Kids make mistakes. People, adults make mistakes. I cannot, and I think I said this in like one of our first or second show, I cannot remember how many people, I couldn't even tell you how many people have come up to me and have thanked me for the way that I have treated them with dignity when I had to, whether I had to arrest or physically arrest them or not. Now, I'm antisocial, so I'm not the kumbaya, let me go into the hood and play basketball with the kids. That ain't never been me. You know, I'm real antisocial. I stay to myself. However, like I've said this before, if I see a child and they wave, I don't care what I just went through. I make sure I wave. If I'm driving my patrol car and I see a kid point at the patrol car, I put the lights on so they can see the lights. They want to take a picture, I let them take a picture. Why? Because you have no idea what that will allow them to be, to do, to feel about police officers from then on out. I think a lot of my brother and sister officers forget that. Or if they don't forget it, they forget it in certain parts of the city, but they don't forget it in other parts. We got to do better than that. We got to do better than that. I love it when I see kids, and I don't care, it's black, brown, white, Asian, when I see them light up when they 5 and 6, when they haven't been exposed to some of the horrors and bad and negative views of cops. You also got to think about it. You have, I mean, when I used to volunteer and lecture at these schools, especially in some of the lower income neighborhoods, these kids don't know no better. They'd be like, hey, I thought that you came over to arrest my mama last night. Or somebody like you came and arrested my daddy. That type of stuff. Do we have to do our job? Yeah, we have to do our job. But if you sit up there and talk to somebody, and again, some people, I always said about the bell curve theory, some people are going to do whatever you want, whatever you say, 100%. Those are going to be the stand up and put your hands behind your back. Okay, boom, no problem. Then you're going to have the other 10% that no matter what you say, if it's 5, 6, 7 of y'all, they're going to fight. They're going to run. They're going to try to hurt, maim, and or kill you. 80% is where the majority of the people live. That's just where the majority of the people are. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. Sometimes they'll tense up, sometimes they won't. Sometimes they'll talk back, sometimes they won't. But you got to realize, fact of the matter is, the person, if you got to enact an arrest, they going to jail. So use your mouthpiece, talk. Look, bro, I know you ain't trying to go to jail, but see, hey, look, you got kids in this house. It's your house. What we'll do is we'll just get up. You know, I gotta keep my hands on you, so I'm not gonna put your hand behind your back. I'm putting my hand on your arm and your shoulder. We're gonna walk outside. We'll walk down to the car. I'll put the handcuffs on you. I'll search you, get you in the car. We'll get you down to jail so we can get them handcuffs off ASAP. Or we can tear this son of a bitch up in here. And I don't want to have to do that. And you don't want to have to do it. Look at your kids. I mean, I've come into situations where I've walked up and the guy said, I don't give a damn, I'm not going to jail. Y'all need to bring a whole lot more. And I walk and I be like, bruh, I hear you. I don't want to go to jail either, but you got to go to jail. Look at your kid. This is what I'm saying. If you give, obviously you in this house for a reason. You give a damn about your woman, you give a damn about your kid. Look at them crying over. Look at them kids yelling and screaming. You really want to go through this? You really want to see, you really want them to see their father thrown down and handcuffed, because once you start to fighting, people start to lose their mind. I don't think, and again, it's 23 years, I've made hundreds of arrests. Maybe I just can't remember one, but I don't remember one on the top of my head where I have been able to sit down and talk to a person, man to man, and then it went sideways. We used to have certain people, we used to call them gasoline, whatever their name was, because every time they come to a scene, they throwing gasoline on a smoldering fire. The fire just about to be put out. They come and say some slick shit, and now you fighting with this person. And it is nothing that I was taught. I think, and I've said this before, I think that we as law enforcement need to spend as much time talking to people, or learning how to talk to people and de-escalate scenarios and situations, and talking to people like they got some sense, whether they don't or not. Start talking with these people with some type of respect, and not like you talking down to them or condescending. We'd have a lot less in it. We need to teach all of that just as much time as we do on the gun range. Because like I've already said, 23 years, and it's not like that I worked in neighborhoods where it wasn't going on. Where there wasn't felony warrants and guns and drugs and stuff like that. 23 years. I've never, thankful to God that I've never had to hurt nobody. I've never had to shoot nobody. Nobody in my custody has ever said that they needed to go to the hospital because I hit them too hard or anything like that. Yeah, now you run up in the middle of the street, get hit by a car, or you running through the bushes and running the barbed wire and stuff like that. I'm not talking about that. You got asthma or something like that, and then we wind up spraying, you got to go to the hospital. That's not what I'm talking about, because I don't know you got asthma before you run. And I'm like, well, if you got asthma, what the heck you running from? So I am coming from a position of somebody who knows a lot about what it takes to be a police officer. And I feel that there are a lot better than me, and I consider myself a really good cop. And there are cops that do a lot more than I do in the community. Where you have them, they'll walk around and the people know their first names. There are far more of them than there are of these bigoted, scared cowards who go into a situation with a preconceived notion, and then it goes bad, it goes sideways, turns to a shit sandwich. And we really need to quit that. We really do. So I went on a little tangent the last 10 minutes of the show, but I just felt compelled to pass on what I felt about that, and to reiterate the responsibility that people have when you are put in a position that you can affect not only change, but you can affect people's emotions, their actions, their motivations. You can either squelch their fears or tread on their fears. And when you tread on people's fears, you are not only putting them in danger, but you are putting other people in danger that have nothing to do with it. And it's disgusting. And it needs to stop. And we need to check people on it and hold them accountable. That's my time. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm sorry for the long delay, but we back up again. We gonna get back into it every Wednesday and Saturday at noon. We're going to chop it up with fam and get an understanding, and we'll start clowning and talking some trash. But I really felt that this was the time for not only for me to decompress, but for me to not, do a relationship or another simp video or anything like that. This show really needed to narrow the focus and nail down some points. So what I would like you to do is share this. If you hit the like button, which I hope you do, it will give you a series of options to share this on your Facebook feed, to share this on your Tumblr if you have one, to share it on your Twitter feed. Like, share, and subscribe. Leave comments down below, and put this on your Twitter feeds and your Facebook feeds, because like Dr. Boyce and a lot of them say, we are teachers. I teach, you teach. I say something, you pass it along. You respond back, I pass it along. I digest everything that you say, you digest everything I say, and we check each other. We check each other, and we make sure that we are doing the right things, that we are putting out the right things, that we are committed, motivated to do what's right in this country. Appreciate you. Stay safe, stay blessed, but stay informed. I'll holler at you guys at the next show. Big Rich Live. Peace.